I remember he appeared in front of Justice Harrison Mutabazi, who's the current spokesperson of the judiciary. He was then the president of the Intermediate Court of Nyarugenge. It was I started speaking before he even gives me the floor. And then after having such an assessment, you sit and agree on a strategy. How are we going to approach this? Are we really going to go and say innocent, 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 like the same way you're putting it? Or we should actually be telling the court, you know what, this is what happened. And can I have a lenient sentence? 37 lawyers are sworn in as the first pioneer of the Bar Association. Only 7 were female advocates out of 37. But we evolved and we grew in as far as gender equality is concerned, and today we have 400.
Hello there. Before we dive into today's conversation, have you subscribed to our channel yet? If you haven't, do so. And remember to share your thoughts with us in the comments below and like this video. Your support means a lot. Now let's get into it. Hello everyone. My guest on the Long Form podcast this week is Moise Nkundabarashi, the president of the Rwandan Bar Association. Since graduating from the National University of Rwanda School of Law in 2008, he has practiced his profession. Today, he's a partner at Trust Law Chambers, one of Rwanda's biggest law firms in charge of litigation and dispute resolution. He joins us to discuss his life, his work, and all matters legal. Maître Moise, welcome to the Long Form.
Thank you very much, Sanny. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I want to be transparent with our viewers and listeners. Me and you, this is not the first time I've met you.
Yeah.
I think we met each other when we were kids, almost 20 years ago, if not more than 20 years now.
Should be 20 years, yes.
20 years.
20 years back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were both in the university, National University of Rwanda.
The School of Law.
The School of Law.
Yeah.
And now I chose journalism and you continued.
And I continued with law.
But it's interesting because as colleagues, I've been watching your rise. I'm very proud of a lot of our classmates and people that were either in front of us, behind us, and even some of our teachers.
Yeah.
They've really done well.
For sure.
I've had one of our professors, Yusta Kaitesi.
Yeah.
I've had her on the Long Form.
Yeah.
There's one gentleman called Aimable,
who
I might not be able to have on the Long Form now. He's
I understand.
former prosecutor general, and now he's the head of NISS.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm able to call on you as a friend, former classmate, fellow legal ego, but more especially, I'm able to call on you as the head of the Rwandan Bar Association to come and discuss with us all things law.
Yeah. It's a humbling opportunity, to share and to appear on the Long Form, and we exchange on matters that has to do with justice, legal practice, and even beyond.
Yeah. So let's start with just I know you. So maybe this question is not necessarily for me, but it's more for the people who don't know you.
Yeah.
How did you end up being a partner at probably Rwanda's most prestigious law firm, Trust Law Chambers? I mean, you're very young. In my head, if you are to go around the world, partners are usually men who are extremely gray-haired, who probably, who've maybe practiced law for 40, 30 years. How did this come to be that you're here?
Okay, thank you very much, Sanny. First of all, I think your question has a lot to do with even the general legal practice in Rwanda and its history, because We are talking about now the bar is 27 years. But
The Rwandan Bar
the
Association.
Rwandan Bar Association
Okay.
is 27 years because it was created in 1997. Maybe we'll come back to this. But how did I end up here? The truth of the matter is, as soon as we graduated from the National University of Rwanda by then, which is currently UR, I immediately joined the Bar Association in 2010. But as you might recall, we graduated in 2009. But due to the fact that there were some kind of leadership issues in the Bar Association, we were unable to be admitted in 2009. And then it's only in 2010, on April 6th, that we were sworn in as advocates at the Supreme Court, at the then Supreme Court. And since then, I started practicing as a sole practitioner. Of course, by then, couldn't figure out what the future is, how the future looks like, and a lot was happening. We started practicing. I was working with one of my colleagues with whom we were sworn in by then, and we started. I remember that time was quite really very difficult. We were, I mean, riding on motorbikes, running around, trying to figure out a situation, and trying to reach out to the seniors, trying to show to the Bar Association that you're present and available to do pro bono work. But the pro bono work that we were doing by then actually helped us improve even our skills in as far as pleadings techniques, but also getting familiar with the courts. Because at the beginning, you even fear to appear in front of a judge. So then I spent something like 4 years working as sole practitioner with my colleague and trying to figure out how this legal practice is in Rwanda. Of course, by then I was still, I would say, young and energetic. I would go attend court sessions before even, when you're not even appearing in front of a judge, just learning, listening to the seniors, and learning how they practice law. So later on in 2014, that's when I was first approached by one of the top law firm here in town to join them as an associate initially. And by then things were getting better.
So can I ask you, so going back before that, I'm very curious because the hardest thing with any kind of business, especially a business where you're pretty much, it's just your brain.
Yes.
It's getting the first client, the first paying client, because you did a lot of but then how did you find that first person? And if you can remember, how much were you paid for your services?
Okay, the first client that I ever got was a client that was selling a property, and he wanted me to draft for him a contract. And I drafted it, and using, of course, the other techniques we learned at school. It's a contract that should have parties, general terms and conditions, the obligation of parties, dispute resolution clauses, and so on and so on. And then later, I remember quite well that he paid me 50,000.
At that time, that was what? Almost close to 50,000. That's 2,000, maybe $50.
Around $50 by
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was my first payment.
How did you feel?
I was like, this is something that is very, very important to me, and I remained with that in my mind, and I felt like, this is something that I've produced, the first ever work that I've got, and then it was really very good. It was really, I felt like I'm being paid for what I've done. Yeah, it was really gratifying. But then going forward, we continued practicing with that colleague of mine. We used to appear in court, in various courts in Kigali. I remember my first case was an urgent application in the Intermediate Court of Nyarugenge. But to be quite honest, the first appearance are always not easy.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember he appeared in front of Justice Harrison Mutabazi, who's the current spokesperson of the judiciary. He was then the president of the Intermediate Court of Nyarugenge. It was, I started speaking before he even gives me the floor. And he was like, no, calm down.
But
wait a moment.
But he knew that that was your first case?
I mean, he couldn't tell, but then I believe maybe he saw it by the time I started speaking before he even gives me the floor.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is I then calmed down and he gave me the floor. I explained what my client wanted. I submitted and everything. It was a first ever experience that really brought me into the game. Since then, we then kept on working on various cases and trying in as much as we can to do it properly, being diligent, being trying in as much as we can to act professional. Of course, it was not easy because the market was not that familiar with what lawyers do, even now. But then the truth of the matter is there is a lot of progress that we've made in as far as people getting to know even what lawyers do is concerned, and I believe it's really gratifying and satisfying to see that after only 4 years, I got to know one of my senior partner here called Richard Mugisha. And we met at the first ever Kwibuka that was celebrated by the Rwandan Bar Association in that was pretty much like 2011. It was like 1 year after. So because I offered to the Bar Association to be among the one that we are going to do protocol. So it gave me the opportunity of greeting various senior counsels that were coming and showing them where to sit and so on. But also I had spoken to the one that was the executive secretary of the Bar Association, offering to do any kind of work. Either protocol, either doing pro bono or anything that would be of a help to the Bar Association. And then later on, I met the senior partner, the senior counsel. I greeted him, but he told me that the executive secretary told me about you. So since then, he started sending me cases. Litigation cases, because Trust Law Chambers by then was not doing much of litigation work. So then they actually some of the work that really helped me very much in as far as improving my
literally, it sounds like the next stage of your career happened because it's almost like you chose to be humble enough.
Yes, very important. Very
important. To be of service.
Yeah, very important.
And somehow that initial service opened doors for you that maybe would have never been opened.
It actually very much opened doors for me, and I believe it's a very important aspect in this life. People being humble and being grounded. Understanding that any kind of progress that you can make is a process. Take time to learn. Get time to understand how others are doing it. Learn how you do this and how you're supposed to be doing this. Get to know how to behave. I mean, emotional intelligence is something very important. What do clients want from you? Lawyers most of the time consider themselves like as if they are not psychologists or even, but it's very important. people that come to see us most of the time, they need some level of comfort.
Yes.
But then on top of the level of comfort, are you really the kind of person that can give confidence to someone that really you're ready even to fight for him and represent him, but also the understanding, the general understanding of what you're doing. But also on top of that, lawyers normally, you should be the kind of person that really that inspire confidence. Yeah.
So, I want to ask you. So, again, I know
maybe,
you.
Maybe
yes.
I didn't get to how
you ended up being.
So after
how
those,
you ended up being a partner.
Yeah, after those 4 years, then I had a conversation with. I was called by the senior partner, Richard, and he told me, you know what, the kind of working relationship that we have, I believe we can make much more use of it. And then I remember it was actually very important. We are having this conversation, and it's now 10 years. It's now 10 years back. And then I went to see him. We had a conversation and agreed that we were going to have a meeting with the other partner that he was having by then, in the name of Apollo. And then we had a meeting. We agreed on the principles, but I had already declined one of the offer that was given by one of the law firm in town, because they were offering me something that was not really like feeling like I'm growing in as far as what I was getting in terms of income, but also the kind of setup and environment. Then when I was approached by Trust Law Chambers, I felt like, you know what, this is the kind of firm that is really giving you agaciro. Initially, you can't believe it, but I mean, I joined as a partner, and then I started running the litigation department and this litigation dispute resolution department. By then, I was only one. Today, as we speak, the department grew. We are 3 of us in the department, apart from the one that is in the finance, banking, and corporate. But we are also doing work of litigation since then, and we have really represented quite a good number of clients since then, successfully.
One of those clients that you represented is probably your best known client in terms of media notoriety. That's our former classmate and FNL rebel Callixte Sankara, or as we knew him, Callixte Nsabimana. I remember watching him appear in court. Then I saw you. I said, "Oh my goodness, how did this happen?" Because I had thought I had not thought that you were doing that kind of law. And then, lo behold, I saw you right there on Rwanda television news, saying that you're going to represent him. How did that happen?
Well, I would say that defense for lawyers is a duty. And our country is exceptionally doing well in as far as access to justice and access to legal representation is concerned. Why am I saying this? When you look at the law that governs Rwandan Bar Association in Articles 53 to 60, around there, when someone is unable to afford to pay legal fees, it's a duty for the Bar Association and the government of Rwanda through its Ministry of Justice to provide legal representation. And what happened in short is the then president of the Bar Association appointed me to go and represent him because he was unable to afford legal fees. But then on top of that, he also had to admit that I'm the one to represent him.
So Callixte also wanted you.
Yes, on his side, because he was given a list of lawyers, and he was like, I want this one to represent me. It was very easy, but that he refuses and he chooses someone else. Or it was also very possible that the president also appoints someone else.
So did you not have the right to refuse?
The truth of the matter is, for you to refuse when the president of the bar appoints you, you should have serious grounds that shows clear that you do not believe that that's a case that you can take on. And this, to be quite clear on a number of grounds, the reality is this was done for the entire 21 people that were accused in that very case. All of them.
Yes.
Not only the Callixte that you're talking about, including even Rusesabagina, that ended up, of course, saying that he didn't want the lawyers that were appointed by the president of the Bar Association. So what does that mean? When it comes to legal representation, it's a duty to represent each and everyone that does not have the means to pay lawyers. But also, on top of that, it was very important to do that kind of work in the name and the interest of justice. It's actually good that we are having this conversation now, that so many decisions were rendered, and the guy was, we managed to secure a lenient sentence. And when I looked at his file at the beginning, I felt like, you know what, this is someone that is really not even going to fight against evidence that is publicly available. And since it's like that, then I mean, let's get into it and then see what is likely to happen. But you can't believe that at the beginning you can't even know how the process is going to be. We started and worked for 2 years when he was alone. And then all of a sudden there was another group of people that made to be 21 people, and the case turned completely the kind of shape. It costed us something like 4 years for this case to end.
Was he an easy client?
I wouldn't really say there is an easy or a complicated client. But for him, at the beginning, when we started the process, we had a conversation, pretty much like an hour or 2 hours. And I was like, he was like, you know, I can't really argue against the evidence that is publicly available. I was in media and I was on YouTube, and I mean,
he was everywhere. The spokesperson.
He was the spokesperson. There are even some statement that I signed. Then he was like, but okay, those are facts. Then how do we dive into this? What kind of sentence am I likely to get? And then I went ahead and explained the law, what the law provides, and everything. But I believe the heavier the accusation and the offense that someone is suspected for having committed are, the more the defense is also needed. So we went into it, and I wouldn't really say that it's one of those cases that I've done, and I feel like this very person, I mean, it has helped him very much.
How do you defend a case like that? Like I said, like, our training is to say innocent, 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 innocent.
Yes.
That is our training. That's your instinct.
Yes.
But then obviously, as you said, the evidence is also in the public domain against your client. How do you navigate such a case like that?
Okay. The truth of the matter is that's where people get wrong what lawyers do and what they are supposed to be doing. The truth of the matter is, justice can't always be innocent. No. There are those files you read and you feel like, you know what?
This person did it.
Maybe it's not up to you to go and do self-incrimination on his on his behalf, or even impose on him to do self-incrimination, because the proof and the burden of proof lies in the hands of the prosecution. But at the beginning, I mean, you have consultation with a client. You have a conversation, and you're like, even though we are denying this, it's likely to be to go against you. And then after having such an assessment, you sit and agree on a strategy. How are we going to approach this? Are we really going to go and say innocent, 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 like the same way you're putting it? Or we should actually be telling the court, you know what, this is what happened. And can I have a lenient sentence? Yeah. And when you get into such the plea that he took, I mean, I believe it has benefited him.
Yeah, he's now out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the challenges of being a lawyer. Not just a lawyer per se, but someone who's within the legal sphere in this country.
Yes.
There are various challenges. One of the challenges that frustrate me, for example, that we need to figure out a way out of is the issue of pretrial detention. We've always been taught, you know, that innocent until proven guilty, but very often you go to court, you'll try to get bail, and usually almost 90%, the bail will be denied at almost every level.
Yes.
That's one of the challenges that personally I've seen, I've witnessed. I've sat in court and thought, you know, this is not someone who is even trying to, flee, but still, that's one of the challenges that I think we need to figure out a way out of, especially because of the issues around overcrowding in our correctional facilities.
Yes.
Other than that issue, one, I would want to know what you think of that issue that I've just spoken about. But maybe also give us some other challenges that maybe I have not thought of that our legal ecosystem is facing.
Talking of issues that our judicial system is facing a lot. There's quite a good number of challenges that we encounter. But the good thing about it is I would say there are clear strategies around all those kind of issues.
I'm curious though, you haven't, what do you think of that first the challenge that I spoke of? Is it something that you've also noticed, or is it just me? Maybe I'm overthinking it.
That challenge is there.
Okay.
We can't really run away from it. It's there, but the truth of the matter is, looking at the bigger percentage of the offenses that are involved, that are even causing those kind of overcrowding in the detention and prison facilities, it's coming from a situation where you have to strike a balance between having people released on bail versus also having and comparing and having a secured nation. In terms of, if I'm talking about security, you understand what I mean. Why am I saying this? The truth of the matter is 70% of these cases that we are talking about that are causing overcrowding in the courts and also in the detention and prison facilities, they are charged with assault and battery, but also theft. So the truth of the matter is, most of these fellows that are involved in these cases, them being in the society, means there is a lot of issues to do with security of people and their property. Why am I saying this? Look at how many times you've seen RIB handing over gadgets, cell phones, money for people that were robbed and so on and so on and so on. So there is a balance we have to strike and make sure that at the same time there is this issue of ensuring and making sure that there is public safety and the one of releasing people on bail. The reason why I'm talking about this is because, as I told you, it's the one that is the bigger number of and the bigger percentage of people that are detained. Having said that, there is also an issue of people also fleeing justice and being on the run after they've been released on bail. So, but having talked about all these challenges, it does not mean necessarily that detention should not be the last resort. And if you look at the criminal justice policy that was enacted in 2022 by the cabinet and the government of Rwanda, it's coming to address all those issues. And part of the issues and part of the recommendations, it says detention should be the last resort.
Is that what you've experienced? Because you're a litigator, you're in court.
Yes.
Is that document, that 2022 document, have you seen, because you're the one who practices?
It's a game changer.
Has it changed?
It's a game changer. Why am I talking about this? One of the implementing program of that very policy was to initiate what we call plea bargaining process. This was in our law from the time, I should be like around 2009, but it was not really, 2019, but it was not really practiced. But guess what? In this only judicial year that we are in, the judiciary, the Bar Association, the prosecution got together and worked on 10,000 files that are now closed.
So are those files closed, as in they've gone to jail? Are they in the community? When you say closed, what does that mean?
Closed means there is a plea negotiation between the parties. That means the prosecution and the suspect, represented by his or her lawyer, and then if they are to be given a lenient sentence, it happens, but also there is no such a thing like appeal or even a hearing that has to happen after that is closed. And the victim is also taken care of. That means these are files that has seen even some good number of people released from prisons. So such a practice allows to decongest the prison facilities. Such a practice allows to deliver justice in a quicker manner. Such a practice allows even the ones that are not supposed to be congesting the entire process not to happen. Along that criminal justice policy, the government of Rwanda also enacted the alternative dispute resolution policy. Since then, the judiciary and the involved partners, Rwandan Bar Association, and other stakeholders, including even the financial sector and so on, we started working on making sure that we resolve dispute out of court through mediation. Trainings were conducted for lawyers, trainings were conducted for judges, and so on and so on. And today, we are also happy to see that there are almost pretty much like 2,000 cases that were resolved, where disputes were resolved through mediation. The truth of the matter is, challenges like anywhere in the world will be there. We cannot really be talking of everything being perfect, but the reality is, are we even conscious and knowing that these challenges are here with us? Are we even working on making sure that we address these challenges? That's what I think is very important in as far as moving our justice system forward.
And how about one? Just to remind you, you didn't really answer the question that I asked. I think you gave me a political answer, so well done. I certainly hope, and here I'm speaking for myself, I certainly hope that we are, because there are technologies that can allow for people to be, home arrest, house arrest, and all that. And we've also seen it happen in certain cases. I think there was Bamorichi's case, the former minister, and he, pre-trial, he was at home. Now he's in Majerejere, but at the time he was. So I'm really hoping to see that, and even for you, I mean, it must not be nice to have to travel all the way to Majerejere, see a client, meet with him, then have to drive tens of kilometers back, back and forth. It's not good for the client. It's not good for the lawyers.
Well, let me maybe put it this way. The truth of the matter is, it's not convenient like the same way you're putting it. But the truth of the matter is, there are always reasons as of why someone will be prosecuted while detained. And there will always be a process. It's not like one organ is waking up and deciding that you're going up to Mageragere. No, the truth of the matter is, the Rwanda Investigation Bureau has these 5 days to first do the preliminary investigation. There are people that are released even from the Rwanda Investigation Bureau, and there are those who are, a lot of cases that they decide to continue and send to the prosecution without even having arrested the suspects. I know many cases. Again, when you go to the prosecution, the prosecution also do release people. A lot of them. The same happens when it gets to court, because there is a court order that should take you to the prison facility. So all these levels are levels where lawyers will be arguing and requesting for release of the very suspects that are being prosecuted. But the truth of the matter is, it's good to be prosecuted when you're not in detention, and that's what we argue for each and every time. And there are some times when we are successful. We manage to get bail, and there are times when it doesn't work. And I wouldn't expect a situation where we always have bail, or even have detention, because then justice wouldn't really be functioning under normal circumstances. But the reality and the truth of the matter is, the issues around someone being detained are really, I mean, it's not something that anyone can wish. But the realities are, justice also has to be, I mean, to be served in a way, in a manner that is appropriate. But I'm also of the view that it would be better and comfortable if people are even investigated before even arrest, because it's possible. The organs that are in charge can even get to know all the information before you're even arrested, and then even the case would take a shorter time in terms of it being processed. But again, this is what I said. This is work in progress. This is work in progress, and I believe the truth of the matter is, in this country we've seen people being released. Even not only even during the process of being processed and getting to know whether someone is convicted or not, but even later we've seen quite a good number of people released on parole, presidential pardon. So it happens.
It happens
very frequently.
One of the Rwanda is known as one of those countries that really puts in the forefront gender equality, women's empowerment.
Yes.
And it would seem that unlike many other professions,
Yes.
where really women have been at the forefront, where it's almost 50-50, it still feels as if law is still very, it's male-centric.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember as students, we maybe had 3 girls, maybe 5 girls in our class. And maybe this is a question that I'm asking to the president of our bar association, because I think one of the things that you also try to do is for advocate, not just for the lawyers that exist, but even the lawyers that are thinking, there's people who are thinking of becoming lawyers.
Yes.
One, I'd like to ask you, do you recognize that there's been a bit of a gap, not a bit, but quite a significant gap between women and men in the legal field? 2, have you done any kind of research to help you understand, and this is not you, but rather the organization, to understand why? And 3, what are you guys doing about that?
Okay, let me first put it this way. The reality and the truth of the matter is, the history of gender in Rwanda is a bit complex and somehow complicated. Why am I saying this? We come from a society where, when the family was unable to pay for school fees, only boys are the ones that were going to school. If you remember well, when we got to the uni, in our first year, the laws we used to have would not even allow women or even ladies to do business. You remember well? I mean, the legal instrument we used to have. You couldn't do business without the permission of the husband. You couldn't open a bank account without the authorization of the husband. So this is to show you where we are coming from. So the kind of gender equality that we have at the Bar Association today is a result of such a kind of
the gender inequality.
Gender inequality.
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is we evolved. If I try to give you a bit of the history of that gender equality in as far as the Bar Association is concerned, our first ever Bar Association is created in 1997, Kigali Bar Association. That was in the immediate aftermath of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And 37 lawyers are sworn in as the first pioneer of the Bar Association. Only 7 were female advocates out of 37. But we evolved. And we grew in as far as gender equality is concerned, and today we have 400 female lawyers.
Out of how many?
Out of 1,600.
Still challenging?
Still challenging, because it's not at a level where we want it to be. But in terms of leadership and in terms of bar management, we've also said, you know what, these very people, these very female advocates needs to be promoted in a way. Can we even have some that are part of the leadership of the Bar Association to start even inspire or even work and give their contribution as female advocates? And today as we speak, we have a governing council that is made up of 13 people, 13 advocates, which is the one I lead, and 7 out of the 13 are female advocates. So basically, what I was saying is, out of 13 council members governing the governing council of the Bar Association, we have 7 women, and my immediate vice president is a woman. We call them the dean of the governing council. And another very important organ of the Bar Association is the disciplinary committee, that is also headed by a female advocate. Currently, the East African Law Society Secretary General comes from Rwanda, and she is also a female advocate that we elected to represent us in the name of Florida Kabasinga. Each and every year in March, we do in as much as we can to gather them in to celebrate the female, the Women's International Day, with the aim of having a conversation around the challenges that they are facing and how they can navigate around the challenges and then address them. But it's been 3 years now that we conducted a research to understand the challenges that they are facing. And one of them being, like for instance, managing the maternity leaves that they are supposed to be going through. We've also seen quite a good number of challenges in terms of building sustainable practices, in terms of like getting funds, but also capacity building, in terms of like, for instance, getting to specialize in areas that are needed in the market. So all these challenges, we already know them. And the conversation we are having now at the management is, how do we go about this? How do we address each and every challenge that lawyers in general are facing, but even these special groups like the one of female lawyers, but also the young lawyers, and so on and so on. So basically, at this point in time, that's what we've done in as far as promoting gender equality is concerned. Have we achieved what we want? Are we yet where we want to be? Of course not. But it's a work in progress that we believe in the future we will be able to address quite a good number of challenges. But maybe as we speak, I will also tell you something else that we are doing that can help even address quite a good number of those issues.
Maybe let me ask you a very basic question. Like, personally, by the time we graduated, I had opportunities of going in 2 fields, law and media. I tried a little bit of law, tried a bit of media, and I felt that the future was greater in the media. Maybe I made a good decision, maybe I made a bad decision, but at the time, I remember thinking, this field of law is very hard. It's very hard to be successful because, one, even our own culture as Rwandans, where in other places, as soon as someone has a dispute, they say, I'll call my lawyer. Here, as soon as someone has a dispute, they say, I'll take you to court, Ndakureg. So we came from a place of our people, our history, the way we practiced, I guess as a people, as Rwandans, was that if we have problems, I'll go to court, I'll represent myself, I'll plead my case, and I'll go home. If I've won or lost, it's up to the judge to determine. And I felt this, where we are today, is quite difficult. Now, I wanted to ask you, maybe, and this is you now, talking to young people, would you say that practicing law in Rwanda, is it something that you would
I would really encourage people to do it.
Why?
Young ones, and because as I told you, like for instance, of course, each and everyone will have his own or her own path as you navigate through any kind of profession. I wouldn't say that the challenges that we are facing as legal practitioners are different from the ones that, like for instance, the ones that journalists are facing. It might be some kind of difference because maybe these are not professions that are at the same pace in as far as even the history is concerned. But the truth of the matter is legal practice is something that can really help you earn a living, number one. Number two, it can also, it's also satisfying in as far as helping people access to justice. There's nothing that you can get that is actually satisfying, like helping a client out of a legal issue. Again, when I come back to what you were talking about, you talked about to do with the culture of people not getting to I call my lawyer. Please make sure that before you do anything, you're supposed to be consulting your lawyer and so on and so on. You know, Sanny, in people's lives, the culture is something that is built. And you don't wake up one morning and then people have like become what you want them to become. It's work in progress. I was telling you, the legal practice in Rwanda is now 27 years. I mean, it's actually growing at a pace that we are not, that you can't imagine.
Really?
Yeah, it is. The culture of people telling you, like for instance, that I will call my lawyer. These are places where legal practice have been there for pretty much like centuries, years and years. But I believe it's a culture that we are actually supposed to be cementing in our jurisdiction. Why am I saying this? It's only in Rwanda that people go and, like for instance, contract a loan with a bank, with a whole legal department of 5 people in charge of reviewing contracts. And then someone shows up and come and sign without even having considered to get a lawyer, someone of finance background or even professional, even an accountant, that will help you to understand what you are about to embark into and the kind of obligation that you're going to sign for. The consequences are now starting to be sensed by the society.
They are losing their homes.
If you look at the auctions that are happening, if you look at everything that are happening, it's because people most of the time sign contracts. They don't read. Print. They find it print and then sign. Any transaction that attracts obligations of parties and so on are supposed to be a professional legal practitioner involved. Very important. And what we have realized and noticed is the fact that they will only come later when things are now even irreversible, when you can't even help much, because there are already people have already signed the engagements that are really putting them in a situation that they can't afford going away with.
So are there
doing away with?
So here's a question now. Maybe this is a question and you can help. One of the things people don't know. In fact, they don't even know what they don't know. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who don't know that maybe that's actually something that they should do. Is there any kind of database of lawyers that they can say, you know what, if I go to this website, these are the people that I will find, and that's where I can find advice?
Okay. The Bar Association has a website. And on the website, we have the role of all active advocates. Internees and the senior ones. The ones that have finished their internship and then went to the role of advocate, the senior role of advocates. But on top of that, we have also even created a kind of online platform that allows you to go in and type the names of Sanny Ntayombya or any lawyer, and then you see his areas of practice. So it's available. It's www.rwandabar.org.rw. It's publicly available. This information can be accessed, and on the website there are even contacts with a toll-free that people can call even to get free legal advice or even seek information about a lawyer. So those are information that are publicly available that helps people to even get to know who am I even contacting. So I believe for whoever that might be in need of a lawyer, it can be helpful to do it that way.
So you believe that our legal field has a good future?
It has an excellent, bright future. Let me give you one example that is very important. Rwanda is growing and is becoming a country that is attractive to the world. And when the government of Rwanda through RDB puts in place, like for instance, this kind of policy of attracting investors, people do not understand what it means. But what it means is each and every investor that is coming to Rwanda will want to have a lawyer to advise on from registration, following up with the employment contracts, following up with any other kind of dispute that can arise out of the operations of the very company, and so on and so on. I mean, this is having a very huge impact on the legal profession. Why? Because there is a multiplying effect. The companies being incorporated in Rwanda and having that kind of work, review of contract, advice, loan request of loans in the banks, and so on and so on, it allows lawyers to get work, and it has helped quite a good number of lawyers to sustain their practice. The truth of the matter is, there is future like a bright future in legal practice, but it's also very important that we keep on improving what we are doing, and also keep on building our capacities. And as we move along, I believe people will benefit from the environment that is being created by the country.
You've been president of the Bar Association now for a few years. How has that been?
This is a huge responsibility. You're leading 1,600 people that comes from various corners, and it's challenging but also satisfying to get to know that I am contributing to something big, to something that is changing the lives of people as far as justice is concerned, but also that is also trying to figure out how to impact the Rwandan community in as far as socio-economic transformation is concerned. The Bar Association is one of those organizations here in Rwanda that is really doing well when it comes to making sure that we protect the socio-economic aspect of our members. Why am I saying this? It's been 5 years that we established a medical scheme for all our members and our families and their families, including, of course. The scheme has attracted now 5,000 people that are being that are getting medical attention and insurance, and it allows them to go get treatment, and then we pay the bills. We have partnership with all the medical facilities in Rwanda, pretty much all of them, including King Faisal, Seashube, and so on, and quite a good number of pharmacies. So each and every year they renew their membership and they pay some subscription that is standing now at around 700,000. That has a part that is destined to the running of the bar association, but also to take care of those bills. So what it means is we have put that in place with the aim of trying and making sure that we help our members not to find themselves not unable to take care of their medical bills and their families. And what it means is if we take 5,000 people out of the mutuel, or even from RISSB or any other kind of medical insurance, we are contributing to the betterment of a good number of people. Simply because we are organized, simply because there is a leadership into it, simply because we understand that we also have a role to play in the development of the country, and not only staying away and being confined, that we only be regulating legal practice.
You've now also gone into real estate. I heard someone told me that you now own the Bar Association now owns various properties around Kigali.
Yeah, that's you know it's true that the Bar Association owns some of the properties around in town. The truth of the matter is we are trying in as much as we can to become a professional body that is financially independent. We've, like the same way I was saying, we live in a country that has an exceptional leadership that allows people to think big. People trying to look at things that are not only in their field, but also trying to look beyond what anyone can imagine. It's been now something like 5 years that we decided to get into business. We opened a company. We registered a company called the Advocate Investment Company. It's the one that is now running the operations and the issues of business.
Are you guys making money?
We are making money. We actually separated the regulation of the legal profession and then and the businesses. The reason is for it to have separate management for purposes of accountability and so on. So when we decided to do that, we then went into a partnership with Bank of Kigali that helped us to acquire the one of the building in front of Amahoro Stadium.
Is that the Sports View?
Yeah, the
Former
previous former Sports View. And today it's a property of the Bar Association because we are able to pay back the loan, and the property belongs to the Bar Association and the company that is running it. The good thing about it was the fact that before we even embarked on it, there was a lot of challenges. People imagining, is this really going to work?
Mentality changes.
Mentality changes. Is this really going to be possible? Aren't we really taking too much risks and so on and so on? But today, management has proved even those kind of cheap mentality wrong. Something happened, and you can see that a kind of leadership is always about anticipating and foreseeing and making decisions that people will not understand at the time they are being decided, but also getting to see that they were wrong by the time they were making those kind of allegations. But the truth of the matter is we are now out of it. It's been 2 years. And the good thing about it is immediately when we acquired it, we didn't immediately also change the business model. We had the opportunity of having SUMA the company that has seen that has built quite a good number of infrastructure of government projects, big government projects. And the most satisfying part when I'm talking about this is the Bar Association has hosted the company that because of that way of looking at things, of thinking big. The Bar Association has hosted the company that has built, that has made the finishing of KCC. The Bar Association has hosted people that built African Leadership University campus. The Bar Association has hosted people that built the building of NISS. The Bar Association has hosted people that has built BK Arena. The Bar Association has hosted people that built Amahoro Stadium. Isn't that really a big contribution?
Yeah, you've shown quite a lot of leadership. Actually,
that's for us. That's something big. And guess what? We didn't do it for free. We didn't do it for free.
Yeah.
So on the money that the government has paid to the company Suma Rwanda, we also retained some, and it remained in our economy. A way of thinking that is quite bigger, that is not really looking at small things and intrigues, can change people's lives. Today, as we speak, we then, from the time when we finished up paying back to the Bank of Kigali, we then diversified. We felt like, you know what, if we have been capable of paying this loan that was meant to be for 15 years and we paid it back within 4 years, that means if we apply the same discipline, we can improve and get far from where we are. So we have an extremely strong partnership now with the Rwanda National Investment Trust, a government-owned company that is controlled by the Capital Market Authority and the Central Bank. This is a trust fund where we invest money and then they give us returns. The reason why we have chosen that kind of business is we believe running a medical scheme like the one I told you require that we have funds, available funds. At the same time, you have a very long-term and strong project of retirement for lawyers. Each and every day that we are working, we are aging. The same way I used to, when I first saw you at the campus, you used to have hair, right?
Yes. Some people would doubt that.
Yeah. So the gray hair you're talking about, I see it in your...
The beard.
The beard. I also have some. So that means, like each and every day we're aging. But then, how do we take care of our retirement? You see, lawyers, the way they work in Rwanda, most of them, they do not have this RISSB registration. The reason is they don't have a monthly salary that is paid. Then the question becomes, how do you make sure that the most known lawyer that you used to know is, you don't find him on the road in his 50s
Begging.
Begging and requesting. By investing in Rwanda National Investment Trust, we are not only taking care of that aspect of retirement for lawyers, but we are also supporting the economy of the country. Because the investment we make in Rwanda National Investment Trust allows them to buy bonds in the central bank, and then they are financing the economy. You can't believe that in our previous annual general meeting, when it was some in March earlier this year, when we went to the annual general meeting of the Rwanda National Investment Trust, they had raised something like 41 billion in terms of savings and investment. Actually, this fund is competing banks at a pace that the bank practitioners needs really to catch up. But it's promoting the culture of saving. It's also promoting the culture of investing, and it's giving good returns. And for us as a bar association also getting to that point, it's because of the kind of leadership you want to make an impact. And the reality is, as I told you, leadership is about anticipating, making decisions, not thinking big, but also choosing the right way you make the decisions that you want to make strategically. That you see people, the people you lead at a certain point, they can't really see what you want to do and what you want to achieve, but later on they realize, this is serious.
I want to ask you my last question for you. And this is a question that I'm going to be asking every guest who comes after you, because we are about to start a new presidential mandate.
Yes.
A presidential mandate of 5 years. So I want you to put your legal hat on the side, and I want you to imagine yourself as a futurist. I want you to imagine yourself as almost a person who's able to, an oracle. When you imagine Rwanda, now we're in 2024, so we're talking 2029.
Yes.
What will, in your head, what does Rwanda look in the next 5 years?
Thank you very much, son. Rwanda is a country that is extremely amazing. We've really gone a long way. But if you ask me about the next 5 years, I see Rwanda becoming a country that is really where everyone wants to come. Number one, because of safety. Number two, because of the environment that is being created for business. Number three, because of the kind of tourism attraction that is being developed. Look at the infrastructure of sports that are being developed. Sport is something that is attracting quite a good number of people. Look at the new infrastructure that is being built here around in town. I mean, it's a country where everyone would want to be. For me, if you ask me, it's a country where everyone would want to be. But then there's still this kind of mentality that we Rwandans should understand and get to know how we make a living out of these opportunities that are being put out there. Are we really, as professionals, like for instance, are we really ready for such a transformation? Are lawyers that are working on these various kind of work that I said and I mentioned ready to give quality services? Are we moving towards having a specialized lawyers, like for instance in the areas of financing and so on? Are we, Kigali Financial Center is being created. The reason why I was mentioning that kind of specialization is there is opportunity there. Going forward, people will be wanting to know how lawyers can set up these funds, how are lawyers going to be like handling the cases, even the criminal cases that you're talking about. Things are changing. Each and everything today is happening on our fingerprints with digital. How do we handle forensic evidence? How do we handle digital evidence? The Rwanda Forensic Institute is now created. We have a strong partnership with them because we are like, in the future, I mean, there's no one that is going to be forging a document while maneuvering around signing. No. There's a digital signature of Sanny that is stolen by someone on a computer and signing on a contract somewhere. Today I was reading on social media and the protesters in Nairobi, they hacked into the government system and looked into the emails that were sent by IMF and so on. I mean, those kind of offenses, the way we used to practice law in the past 10 years, no one would have imagined that such an offense would be committed in a way. But both, either the one that is going to investigate that matter needs to have knowledge and skills that are required. The lawyers that are going to be appearing needs to be having knowledge that are required. The prosecutors, the judges, and so on. So there is that whole capacity building and making sure that we keep on updating our knowledge that is required so that we adjust to the path on which the country is growing at. But for me, I believe the 5 years that we are talking about really looks bright. It's promising. It's promising. There is hope. If this country has survived what happened in 30 years ago, I mean, I don't see anything that people can fear, like the same way His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda said during the campaign, one of the campaigns rally.
Moise, Mr. President, my friend, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
And so I think the Bar Association is now, Trust Law is going to celebrate 10 years.
Yeah, it's 20 years actually.
20 years.
Yeah,
I
it's
expect
20
to be invited to the celebration.
It will be really a great pleasure to invite you and other friends. Trust Law Chambers has quite a good number of friends in town, and I believe it will be a great opportunity for us to reconvene and exchange on how maybe we're going to spend the next 20 years and plus.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed the conversation today, share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.